Everyone had a good night. We're opening up here today on a gap higher, as we can see. It was fairly significant gap here. A pretty big gap to say the least. And on very large gaps comes a lot of opportunity, but also a lot of risk. So today, I do recommend just managing that risk and being a little bit careful. And I just wanted to get that out first, just because today can be a very volatile day heading into the day, so we could definitely just got to be a bit careful. Zoe, good morning. Peter, good morning. Double R, good morning. Roach, good morning. Tommy, good morning. Cam, good morning. We're doing good. We're doing good. Hopefully the fucking downtime for Fortnite's over, huh, Cam? I logged on, well, I tried to log on yesterday after I got done updating my charts after the market was closed, and you know fucking not even open. I'm like, oh my god, miserable. Um, Morning, Uncle Stacy. Hopefully the pump's back. I haven't seen what's new. So getting into the market today, we kind of see, if we zoom this out, really, we have this balance, right? We've seen this balance. We've been talking about this balance for what seems like forever now. And we've kind of looked below it a few times and traded back inside of it. So it's a pretty big range here, right? But for the most part, these are all overlapping, right? And that's kind of how I decipher, if it's balance or not balance, right? So we've got value here, overlapping to lower, overlapping to lower, overlapping to higher. Then we got that lower, but it's still in line with this value area. And we got overlapping value, and we got overlapping to higher yesterday. So really all these value areas are pretty much right in line with each other, or in agreement with each other, that there's value here, right? And you could even cut off the tails if you wanted to and just take this value low here and this value high here, which lines up with these three highs. And so call this the top of balance, call this the low of balance. And today we're getting this kind of look above, right, into this gap that we've been holding since the September 22nd overnight session, right? We had that move down. The market wasn't able to fill it, actually opened up here on the high and then traded lower. And we're kind of looking like we're going to open up here above balance. And so the first thing we want to do is to monitor if there's going to be some continuation here, or if we're going to get a rejection back inside of balance. The key for me, really, that I'll be monitoring for is if we're going to fill this gap, right? The gap's very large, and sometimes really large gaps don't fill on a single session. And so there is opportunity. Sorry, one second. There is opportunity here to go with, right? Let's say, and kind of what I'm looking for is maybe a pullback to these previous singles, right? These singles have held from the 28th of September. So if we get a little pullback to these singles here and we start to see buying strength above this, there's a VPOC here, above this VPOC, that could signal to us that that gap wants to fill, right? The gap hasn't filled technically in the cash session, but we will be looking for that. One thing I do want to point out though here is, if you guys remember this little Jesus Christ, they call it the island reversal, right? So here on the September 8th, we gapped up, never closed that gap. Then we gapped up again on the 9th, right? Put it in this day. And then the next day we gapped below all the way down and filled this gap. So we gapped basically a whole day's worth down and then traded lower. So we definitely want to be understanding of something like this possibility. And this is like, you see a lot of these in a bear market, a market that's a little bit got too short, right? So now it's kind of just blowing off all of its steam, and then boom, the seller comes back in and reloads and starts to lay the smack down on them. So, we want to be careful of something like that happening here, right? Maybe the market got a little bit too short. We'll be opening up on a pretty large gap again here. So we'll look to see if it closes. If it can't close and we see buyers at these single prints, there's opportunity to trade to the top of this gap and back up to that VPOC at 3780, which is crazy because everyone was so fixated on that 3500 coming next. You know, the market's been crazy volatile. And so we've got to understand that. And so if the market does fill the gap, right, to yesterday's high, we're looking for acceptance inside yesterday's value. If we do get acceptance inside yesterday's value, the target will be these single prints, right? We've got a lot of trapped short inventory down here from yesterday, and that will kind of be the look that they will be looking to get back to maybe cover some of that. And then also that kind of would go with the thesis of if this gap fills, is kind of a look above and fail, right? Doesn't get to the top of that gap. And so we look to trade down to the bottom. Morning, Jamie. Let's go ahead and take a peek around the block. So the dollar still getting a little smackarooski here, right? Still trading lower from yesterday, as you can see the past couple of days, basically since last Wednesday, making lower highs here. And in since today, just trading down here on the low. Typically, that's an inverse for the market. And inversely to that, we have the euro, and the euro has been pretty strong since last Wednesday. As we can see, the euro made that low, has been making higher lows, and is trying to trade back up to that $1 mark, right? Trying to be like, we are just as good as America, right? We all know. I'm just kidding. Bitcoin, right, got sucked right back to that 20K. We talked about this. I mean, feels like forever. And there it is again, right? We talked about this 19,400 level as being a resistance, and if it was able to get above that level, then most likely the odds were going to be targeting that 20K level. And you can see right here around this 19,400 level, we got a little bit of got a little bit of consolidation here, and then a little pop up. You can see how thin the Bitcoin futures are traded because there's a gap right here, right? So the liquidity in the Bitcoin futures is a little bit less liquid, like if compared to the ES or something. So if you're looking to trade Bitcoin but don't want to trade the fucking Binance or all that other bullshit, try the mic. They have micro Bitcoin futures. You could trade the micro Bitcoin futures if you like trading Bitcoin, you like the moves of it, you're comfortable with it, but you're looking to get a better or safer trading. Try the micro Bitcoin futures. The Bitcoin futures are expensive. The Bitcoin futures contracts are expensive, and those are more a buy and hold situation for me, at least. I don't really intraday trade those at all, but just because of the liquidity, you really got to kind of wait to get filled, but you don't have the slippage or anything like that like you do on Bybit, so that's kind of nice. Oil still on a rampage, right? We all know this is really good for me, really bad for England. Like I've been saying for a while, England's going to have a cold winter. I was hearing some talks that they might be buying a bunch of oil and kind of switching off of gas, and a lot of people are going to be kind of forced onto public transit and things like that. So that's going to be interesting as the weather starts to get shittier than normal over there, right? Tommy told me that the weather's shitty there today, and that's shittier than normal because it's weather's pretty much shit there every single day, right? I'm just kidding. The weather shit here today in northeastern PA, I'll tell you that. It's pouring rain and all gloomy and cold. Definitely not California, that's for sure. There was another big boost in gold here, right? Gold's back kind of up to this gap that it had above, and a level that we were looking at it. So we'll look to see if it can kind of fill this space in. If we don't get back up to this 1727, I kind of expect a drawdown back in gold, probably back down around the 1700 level. And I'll be watching for that. Bonds have actually caught a bid, surprisingly. What am I showing this? What's the difference here? Hang on, I gotta change this in. Fucking try to make that real quick. So Friday's close is yellow. Make it. Ah, made it. All right. And so yeah, we'll be watching on bonds, right? People are kind of jumping into that. There was a big boost in silver futures yesterday as well. You can see I think it was something like almost 10% to this high. 9% from yesterday's open basically to the high yesterday. So pretty big boost in silvers. That's kind of a risk off thing, people jumping back into the silver. Apple here, nice gap up to start the day. Remember, we had talked about this on Friday, and I don't think anyone was really ready for it. We talked about it again yesterday, that there was maybe a short squeeze coming in Apple, and I was buying Apple on Friday and just looking at it like, oh shit, am I making the wrong decision? But now I'm pretty happy with the trade, and I still think it has some legs to go, so we'll kind of see how it acts today. But the fact of Apple had like the most meat on the bone kind of made me think like, okay, well, that's where everyone that wants to short is going to be throwing all their shorts, and it kind of looks like it is playing out. They kind of got trapped here, so that'll be something that we pay attention to as well, right? Apple's kind of the driver of the market, the big what would be a good adjective right there? You guys can fill that in. I don't know. The big shebang. Yeah, but the 800-pound gorilla is like something people don't notice. Well, I guess I didn't really notice this, right? Or they didn't really think about it. Maybe they did. I have no idea. This was just kind of me when I was doing a little brainstorming with James. We kind of talked about, it makes sense that people keep trying to short Apple, but Apple is just so strong, right? Apple's like that. It's like Anderson Silva before he broke his leg, right? You might think you can beat him, but the odds are that he's probably going to kick your ass and he's going to embarrass you while you're doing it. So I mean, there's always opportunity everywhere, and the move down in Apple was fast and fierce, and that's kind of why I thought it was a little bit overdone. So we're seeing a bit of a bounce today. We'll watch this gap here below. AMD also opening up on a gap higher here. Kind of interesting coming back into this resistance from last week. We kind of saw AMD fail basically right at this level a couple of times last week, and we're getting right up to that today. That was kind of around that 68, 69 level, and so that'll be a key level to watch for today. Amazon opening up on a large gap, trying to get back above that 120, so it's back above its balance from last week. Disney just looks like a mess here. Disney's all over the place. Google, right, similar mess look, but getting right back into that high from yesterday. You can see it finally broke out of that resistance that we were watching from yesterday, and really, that's what the market needs to continue this strength or continue kind of this move up. It's going to need some strength from Google, some participation from Google. Meta also opening up. It's still inside that balance. Microsoft gapping up, getting right up to that resistance. This resistance coming off of swing high. Netflix getting back up into that gap, right? Netflix has looked pretty strong. This is kind of, if you're a TA person, right? Pretty technical bear or bull flag breakout, pretty much heading on. So you'll see if that's a continuation. Continuation would be above that 245, well, really above that 247, basically, for confirmation. NVIDIA looking pretty strong. Kind of had these weird wicks this morning, but that's pretty normal for them. Tesla, after getting beat down yesterday pretty bad, is going to be opening up a little bit higher, but still inside yesterday's range. This is probably coming off the heels of, the big dog. Yeah, there we go, Jake. That's a good one, the big dog. Coming off the heels of a, what would you call it? What's my headphones? The little meeting that they had or whatever it was, they had like this robot out, and like the Tesla show, Elon's just out there like flashing his cock to everybody, like, look how big mine is, right? That's what billionaires do. They either build spaceships or run for president, these days, it seems like. So we'll see what his next move is. Maybe he's trying to set himself up. I didn't watch the robot, but I had heard some reports that the robot was kind of shitty. So that could have been a key, at least in the tech, that people might be kind of losing a little bit of faith, right? Tesla, the company itself, is not really worth as much as the market cap, I think, reflects. But a lot of people are just huge believers in Elon, that they're able, to stay true. Right. Everyone's seen iRobot.
And then you're like, do I really need that anyway? And he's like, I think the statement he made was, is that it's going to be less than $20,000. And most people are going, why would I spend $20,000 on a robot when I don't even need one?
Yeah.
He also pissed off Ukraine, all the people in Ukraine yesterday. So he's chewing through a lot of his goodwill.
Oh, I saw
out there.
that. Yeah, he posted like that Crimea should be part of Russia or something, right? The tweet.
Yeah, and then it's kind of interesting for a guy that built his company on selling to left wing people and using environmental credits, that he's like changing his whole appearance lately. I wonder how much that's going to hurt the company in the future.
Yeah, it'll definitely. I mean, it's interesting, and I think the reason that the robot, along with lack of understanding of the technology for sure, but a big thing is people have seen the videos of the robots that have come out of China, and then the Google robot as well, doing fucking backflips and shit. And so they kind of expected Tesla's robot to be even better, and it was kind of more or less, it just wasn't better. So I think that's kind of that might
It's
be
the
a piece of it.
it's the time frame though. In 1 year, that's what they have is pretty solid for 1 year of work when they're creating everything from scratch and trying to unify it. And it will be an exponential increase. I do think, just like the car, like a lot of people bitch about FSD, the full self drive, but if they really understood the technology, and they keep saying, oh, like GM has, I don't know, blue, or maybe Hyundai has Blue Cruise or whatever, or all those different people that are creating this thing, but the way that Tesla is doing it is very different. And while it seems like it's similar, it will, once things start to get off the ground, it will go up exponentially. And that's the strategy. And the same thing with the robot is, right now it looks pretty mediocre. I don't think it looks like anything really. I mean, it's not doing, like you were saying, backflips, but in the end, what they're creating is something that will be sustainable and will provide a lot more long-term capability. It just has to get off the ground. Not that I think it's necessary, because of course I still say that I don't see a lot of people pulling robots into their house, just saying.
So I kind of have like the same feel as Will Smith on Robots in the House. Fucking eventually, they're gonna get hacked and then take over, and same reason I don't have an Alexa in the house. I think she's the fucking devil. So I've seen too many videos where she acts up, and I'm just like not willing to risk it, you know. Oh, let's get some Reveille going here. All right, now we're ready. Now we're motivated. Most people follow like sheeps. Wow, he's a billionaire, need to invest in all of his businesses. I mean, he's been, you know, on top of it, just so lucrative. And I mean, really, it's just like, you know, he's just been, I mean, just a winner. Like he like forces himself to be a winner, right? A lot of people don't like him, 'cause he's kind of crazy, but you know, I was actually talking to my wife about this. You know, a lot of people, like when it comes to certain things, like that, you know, it's like it's not good enough to just win. They want you to win their way, right? Like if you watch the Niners game last night, and I fucking hate the Niners. You know, I'm just not a Niners fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, but um, Jimmy G actually like gets the job done. He does win games, right? Might not be the prettiest, um, you know, the prettiest thing we've ever seen, but he does win games. And so, you know, it's kind of like a, you can't really knock it like if it works. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, everyone used to hate Tim Tebow when he was a quarterback of the Broncos, but not many people beat the Steelers in the first round of the playoffs, and he did, right? Might have been like, you know, 12-6, but when you win, you win. That doesn't ask any racer, any real racer. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. Anybody get that quote? Well, that's the thing is like people view Tesla, or some people, we got like 30 seconds. Some people think about Tesla as a car company, but Tesla's not really a car company. It's a technology company, and they do make cars, but they're a technology company. See how much fucking money he made off selling a flamethrower? Morning, Trin. You know. So today on the open, we're gonna expect a higher breath today, right? And a tick that's probably gonna open up here plus 1,000. And remember what I always say, you know, on a gap, we don't want to fade the market unless we start to see some selling. So here we go, a little boost right off the open. The market's just going. So we're getting into this gap here a little bit. Cash session's trying to fill up this gap. Ding, 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 ding. Do I believe this is a bear market rally? I don't know if I don't know if I believe in like the, you know, that's just not how I think, I guess. I think that the market got a little bit too short and, you know, finally put in a low, and, you know, we kind of rallied from there. Um, but the thing is like people are calling this crazy rally. Look at the breadth, 20-1 here. Getting market slipping here below the open. Watch this overnight point of control here. Um, you know, it's hard for me to really think like, oh, okay, well, this is, you know, this is this or this is that. Um, because the volatility is so high, we're getting these gigantic ranges of 100 points a day, sometimes more, and they're like, oh, 100-point rally, the biggest since September or whenever it was, or March or something like that. But, you know, with the VIX being 30 plus, What is the VIX at? VIX is at 28 right now, 29. You know, we can't really kind of knock that stuff out, right? We're pricing in 2% move here every day until the VIX starts to cool down. I don't really see it as anything out of the ordinary. So unable to fill that gap. Apple's trying to come back here a little bit lower. Meta looks pretty good, trying to turn up here. There it goes. Back into the gap. So it looks like we had that kind of look below the open right there and didn't get anything going. This is more or less a go with situation here.
The breath opened up at 30, up to 40 now, so it's increasing still.
Good call out. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good, I mean, so you're seeing the, you know, people try to kind of believe in the rally already.
Yeah.
So
46 now as well, so it's up 15 from the open.
the gap is filled here. Lower this gap down here. So you see that we just put those 2 ticks below the open and then just traded all the way up to the high. Tommy with the good call out, letting us know that the breath was jumping up. That was a really good observation. And that, you know, even kind of confirmed the go with, at least as far as that pump above right there. And so the market has filled that gap to the upside. Just got a call count in AMD. Apple's looking a little bit weak here. It's kind of surprising. You would think, you know, we'd get a little bit better movement from Apple. A little bit of resistance here, selling at the Globex high, it looks like. What's going on with these charts? As that kind of cooling off. Bounced up, back above that Globex high. Breath is back up to 40 here, so came back down to this previous Globex high and came back down to 30. This time it's still at 40, so buying is still pretty strong here. Next level up, that value area low, 37.70. The bot got into a call. I'd like to see Apple start participating in this rally and the lagging behind the rest of the crew. You've got AMD's up 3%, Amazon's up 4%, Google's up 2.5%, Meta's up 1.75%, Microsoft's up 2%, Netflix up 1%, Nvidia up 3.5%, Tesla's even up 3.5%, Apple's up 1.7%.
Brad, when we're coming up into these areas where we've not been up here for a little while, what sort of targets do you use? Value area low, untouched POCs and like value area highs.
exactly.
Cool.
So what I'll
Thank
be
you, man.
looking for here is this value area low that's sitting right around 33.7 or 37.70, excuse me. And then I want to see some acceptance in it. And what acceptance would look like would be rotations, right? Sometimes it could just blast through, but I'd like to see some rotations in inter periods, right? We'll see, you know, A period comes up or B period, maybe if it takes that long to get up here. But then we see rotations up above that level. That's really where I'm looking for that acceptance. And then targeting that VPOC, that 37.80 level.
And then do you just go level to level? If you held the POC, you look for value area high, and then et cetera, keep going.
Exactly. Yep. And I'm kind of expecting, if we kind of zoom this in here a little bit, you know, if we get this continuation, we see acceptance in here. The market may need to kind of balance in here because we have weak structure coming all the way down. When the market traded down, it just kind of balanced and then just kind of fell off. So, you know, the market may need to get a little bit of balance in here, kind of fix that structure. So I do kind of expect it to be rotational if it's able to get up there.
So almost filling in the breakout from the balance before.
Exactly. Yep. The dollar's getting sold off. Do you believe the Fed is trying to slow down the dollar to save the rest? No, not really. I mean, here's kind of what I think. I think that look at the ticketing sold down pretty good here. Look at the breadth though, 52. Jesus. I kind of am thinking like that. Like I don't think the Fed's going to slow down as much as people think. I think people are expecting like, okay, well, you know, I think they got too lackadaisical with these interest rates, and people are like, oh, it's going to go back to 2% or it's going to go back to 0%, and you know, I'm not worried about it, so you shouldn't be worried about it. And you know, I don't think that's smart. I mean, looking for that 70 here on this first target. You know, I don't think the Fed is gonna slow down. I think they're gonna just do what they do, and that's kind of, you know, just gonna be, you know, it is kind of what it is. Shorts are just getting smacked here. Apple's trying to participate in this pump. A little bit of selling here.
Breath's still going 63 now.
Yep. Everyone's just jumping on, and if Apple starts to break out above that overnight high, then it could really start to go.
Could also be bigger time frame traders stops like above the balance
Yeah.
that we were in. Is that why you get a bigger run?
Well, I don't know if it's I don't know if I would really say the bigger players. Let me pull up the COT report. So this report, right? It's as of last Tuesday. But we can kind of see, I'm gonna cover up the market real quick. you know, we can kind of see as of last Tuesday, big money added to their short, and you know, small money added to their long. And so when we go back to last Tuesday, which was the 27th, so this day here. Yeah, that's a lot of shorts that got trapped, exactly. So as of Tuesday, which is this day, we saw the market just basically getting shorted, right? They did a little relief rally, and then probably re-shorted the market, and all of that smaller money kind of just, you know, they probably flip. That's normally what these hedge funds do. They're weaker handed traders. They normally, you know, they normally flip. So market came back down, and then, you know, popped. I mean, just they. I mean, let me pull it side by side so we can kind of look at it. Keyboard's not working. So when we're looking at this report, right? We can see last Tuesday on here. So we can see big money had kind of cut their longs, right? So that's probably what caused that bit of a rally from the previous day. They started to take profit up near the high of balance and started to get short. They added pretty decent size to their short position, asset managers, institutionals. And then we had leverage funds taking their shorts off and basically doubling down on their longs. Well, these hedge funds, or you know, leveraged funds, what happens is when the position goes against them, and this was on Tuesday that they did this. So here on the 28th, was it 28th or 27th? 27th. So here on the 27th, this is as the close up on the 27th, they had added to their long. So it popped up here, and leverage funds are not necessarily, they're always trying to fight the trend. So it'll be interesting to see the next report, based off of today's information, to see how this changes. But I imagine that we probably got a lot of these longs stopped out, and that's what's kind of causing yesterday's rally, because yesterday really kind of, you know, uneventful short covering. But then I imagine that they probably flipped. So I think leverage funds here, when they started to get stopped out, they tried to re-short the next day. And that's kind of evident when we look at this. Oops. With that Globex session. With this Globex session here, really trading lower and not getting anywhere. And I think that's kind of the heels of it. And then yesterday we saw probably leverage funds tried to re-short, and asset managers just started building up that long again, and now they're just, you know, kind of taking the market higher. We're almost up to where we're trying to get to. Yeah, TJ, that's a lot of trapped, a lot of shorts that got trapped. And I mean, you figure if we look back here, let me pull that up one more time. It's one of the bigger transactions, and if this isn't something that you guys kind of look at, and I'll pull it up on an easier way that we can, an easier chart that we can kind of look at this way. I'll just move the market like right here so we can still see it. Oh, these are the boots I just got. These all black Nike boots. They're Gore-Tex. They're dope. Look at them, just like buy another pair. So we'll look at this. Ooh, market's going. Give it to us. Oh, come on. You can do it. A little bit of a break here. Epoch shifted up. Yep, right here to that 37.70. That's that value area low. So actually, this would be a good opportunity, right? We'll look for rotations, and you kind of have your backstop here, which is that 3770. Get some rotations here. That's going to kind of show acceptance. Then we should test that VPOC. If we don't get a strong reaction off that VPOC, we should break to the look of previous value area high, which is at, times of this thing, I swear to God. I don't know why it does that. Like, I don't know how to fight it. Previous value area high is, oh, I need, that's why these 3788. So another 8 points higher. Okay, so let's look at this. Do it even easier way. Don't steal my password. It's all asterisks. No one will ever guess that. Okay, so you can kind of see we're looking at dealers, but we want to look at leveraged funds, right? You have, you know, kind of a bigger difference here as far as you got 286 here, right? And this is as of last Tuesday, 346 here. So you're looking at about, you know, 50,000 contracts total. And look at this. They were negative 525. So they were short, you know, extremely short, and have then started to reduce, you know, as it's been kind of going down. But you can kind of see the difference from September 23rd to this week was a pretty big change. And then if we look at the asset managers, you know, you've got another 50,000 here, but with asset managers, you know, the change is really not that much. There goes that pop. You see what I mean? Like, this is kind of how I look at it to track the changes. And we can see the Nasdaq's at a 52-week low with asset managers, as far as where they're positioned at. So you had asset managers kind of sitting long back then, and they had flipped to the short. And as of last Tuesday, they were extremely short. So it'll be interesting to see if asset managers covered their shorts here, at those lows, or you know, that's who we're piling up off of. And I know long story short, Tommy, sorry about that, but that's kind of what it's a delayed ability to get like an actual information
An idea of what they're doing, right? I get you. So say we come down and we start overlapping and forming the balance like we have done, and then you're combining it with that where you can see they're taking their shorts off. It might lean you more to pushing it to the upside rather than continuing lower.
Right, exactly.
Cool, got you. Thanks, mate.
Yep. Yeah, and it's all kind of like those COT reports really. Yeah, so I look at it every Friday because that's when it comes out. I check it out every Friday, and you really just kind of try to decipher. You know, the report is as of Tuesday, which is fucking bullshit, if I can be frank. You know, so it's as of Tuesday, so it's as of this day here, and you can kind of see how they were positioned, and so you kind of try to decipher. Okay, well, if they were long and they were short, like, you know, what do you think happened? Did they start to short the market? Did they get trapped? You know, all this shit. And so it's really kind of just going back and looking at the old reports and looking how the market happened after, and then looking at the old reports and looking how the market happened after. That's kind of how I have, you know, gained a decent grasp kind of on what they're trying to do. Al had to say in 8th grade level English he is not even thinking about easing in 2024 because of fools like those on CNBC that seem to understand. Yeah, and that's kind of my thoughts exactly, Jake, is that he really doesn't give a fuck, you know, about, you know, okay, the market went up, but the market's still down, you know, so he's not necessarily changing. He hasn't changed what he's been talking about this whole time. It's just like the hopes and dreams of all these people are kind of like, well, you know, market's down, so you should pivot. You know, it's just they want that more than that's actually happening. So I'm flat, completely flat now. I ended up closing my last one right there on the 80. We got that JOLTS job report in 8 minutes. So I didn't want to hold through the job report coming out, so I just kind of jumped out. Pretty much everything's looking strong, except the dollar and the Australian dollar looks pretty weak as well, actually. Trying to get some volume here off of that previous point of control. Oh, that's what I want. Crypto's booming in Texas. Also, some news on the market yesterday is that North Korea fired a missile at Japan. I don't know if you guys saw that. A lot of buy trades coming through 76.50 to 76, 125, 135, 130, 130. So maybe some stops hitting the tape here. You're getting a little bit of cooling in the weighted AD, but the market itself is looking pretty strong still. Yeah, they fired a missile at Japan. That was on Twitter last night. Volume stepping up. You're seeing a little bit of volatility kick on. Look at the breadth has switched down to 35 here. So pretty big drop. It was up at 50. Look to see if the market's going to do some backing and filling here. Getting a lot of rotations here, though, for the most part, at least. Yeah, the tick made a lower low. That was interesting about yesterday, right? So yesterday the tick was just making lower lows pretty much all day, and then popped up. Aside from the 30 minutes, do you follow a shorter time frame? I have a 5-minute chart up as well, and then every once in a while I switch it to the 1 minute because one of our traders here, TJ, has been kind of showing us how he tracks inventory, and it's really an interesting concept. And so I've been kind of like, watching that as well. But mostly my decisions are made off of the 30-minute chart. But I'm also, Martin, I'm also not scalping. So like, if I was gonna scalp, honestly, I probably wouldn't even use a chart, just use a DOM. But if you're scalping, those shorter time frames are, a lot more helpful. Yeah, we see the VPOC shift up here. Lift off. All right, as long as we hold the 79, we're good to go. Buyers, they're trying this high. There it goes. Next level up's at 88. Got that JOLTS job report in 2 minutes. Probably shouldn't have took that, but you do. I want to see it hold above 80.50. I'll move my stop tight on this one, 80.50, 80.75. Can he elaborate on the minute chart? Yeah, I mean, I could show you kind of what he is talking about a lot. So just look at the 1 minute here. And so here, we can see, and this is, really why I kind of enjoy this. I don't know if TJ's in here. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you want to talk about it, TJ? Yeah.
Sure. Just what we've seen so far today.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So yeah, you got it pulled up. So today, honestly, most of my stuff was just saying that we still had shorts trapped. Just kind of like what you were saying, just based off the TPO, the weak references. We had singles below, so I have all that kind of stuff going in. We're gapping up, which just even proves that we have the shorts trapped. So off the open, you really didn't see a whole lot of selling. And then you see those boxes that Brad drew. So we kind of built that first box in. And then as soon as we broke the high of that, you're just trapping more shorts along the way. So you got all those stops that come out. So it creates that huge 1 minute candle right there. So it's all those people buying back their position. Then we have another spot that we kind of settle where people are trying it. Probably some longs taking profit as well. And then as soon as it breaks above the high of that box, you just see more stops coming out. And you got to remember, too, that people sell at different times. So depending on the size of your account, you can hold longer. But I think a lot of this stuff we're seeing today is probably people getting bought in that are trapped short, probably getting liquidated. So we got the slow grind moving up right now. So
Nice.
It's a little different look than we've had the last few days. More straight up today so far.
Yeah, it definitely has a feeling of a trend kind of feel. We can keep this 1 minute up down here if you guys like it. We can kind of box here. Kind of track the inventory.
Yeah, the biggest thing to know is that with shorts trapped, they're soaking up any supply that's hitting the price. So there's not enough supply to fill all the trapped shorts. And when there's no supply, you buy because price has to auction up to find enough supply for all the shorts to get out. So that's my thought. No supply.
No supply and the market fly. BTC just popped to, yep. BTC's on tear kind of. They're up 3.5%. That JOLTS job report came out negative, not super negative, but negative, and that's kind of the bad news, good news situation, right? People still are pricing in, and this might be a kind of a black swan thing, depending upon how it goes. Let me pull up this tool here. We're looking at the Fed funds rate. We'll look at the investing.com one. This one I like it's a bit cleaner. You can kind of see the probabilities are going down, right? So here's the previous week's probabilities of a full basis point, gone from 66. It came down yesterday, and it's about 62 now. And so they're kind of starting to cool off on that pricing of a full basis point, which is kind of interesting. And then if we look at the check this over quick. If we look at what I like, the dot plot, the most part, and this is off of the Feds, right? They plot their dots. So the other one, the Fed funds rate tool is based off of what the market's pricing in. But this is actually the Feds, and I mean, to me, it doesn't look like the Feds are gonna cool. It doesn't look like they have any plan to cool. It looks like they're planning on raising rates all the way up into 2023, and they don't really start to cool off until 2024. Some Feds are even thinking 2025 rates are still going to be around 4%, and then maybe longer run we can bring them back down once inflation gets under control. But for the most part, it really doesn't look like the Fed wants to cool rates. It's just that people are pricing that in, and so that to me kind of says whoops. And so when we do have that report, where's the calendar at? When is the next? I think it's not till November, right? Let's see. When's the next meeting? Doesn't say it. The next meeting is November 2nd, so a month away, basically. We could see a little rally up into then, and then Powell comes on and he's just like, stupid ass people, and just smashes down the hammer, and then kind of smacks the market back down. So remember, we just trade the market that's right in front of us. We're not trading the future. We'll get to that when the meeting comes. You know what I mean? We can't really, and I think that's what happens a lot of times. People kind of get that bias, and that really just hurts their trading a ton. The report's possibly baked in by smart money. I don't know. I honestly think that when volatility is this high, I think larger money takes advantage of short time frame traders. They take advantage of the emotions here, and so that's kind of where where I think like, you know, they're really, you know, they have a good understanding on what that human psychology is. The human psychology is stating, obviously based off of that report, that they're pricing in a less aggressive Fed, but the dot plot from the CME website, from the Feds themselves, are not. So you have contradicting information, and everything on YouTube is saying that the Fed's going to ease up for the most part, unless you watch Tasty Trade. And you know, they Victor Jones, you know, he's pretty set on the Fed just, you know, continuing to raise rates. Same thing with Chris Vecchio. You know, they're not really big believers in people slowing it down, and I kind of am seeing the same thing. Morning, Pop. Yeah, you gotta trade the right side of the chart, not the left side of the chart. And you can only trade what you see, right? You can't just be, you know, if the market changes, like today, right? Today's like, oh, a lot of people are probably getting short. Um, but that's more of a gamble than anything. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing one of these plays here. So you've got inventory trapped up here. You're getting some stops coming out. Last inventory was pretty much down here, that 37.80. You know, but you have a lot of people, I mean, probably got short here. We saw the volume step up, VPOC shifted up here. But they're fighting the trend, right? And the same thing happened yesterday, right? The same thing happened yesterday. If we look at yesterday's profile here, you know, and it was pretty, you know, to me, it felt pretty obvious with how it kind of played out yesterday. Yesterday's profile. There we go. So with, okay. So with how it kind of played out, yeah, breadth is 55. Yeah, it's crazy. So we got this little, you know, look below and fail in Globex. We squeezed all those Globex shorts on. People tried to shorten A period. We had some rotations in A period, basically accepting yesterday's value. That kind of gave us the sign that we were at least going to trade back up to this 52. Got that nice stop run during B period. And then people just started getting short, right? Shorter term firm traders are starting shorting below the previous day's high. But the breadth agreed with us, right? So the breadth started off at 11. I think 11 was the number yesterday. It came down to 3. And really that was like, it was like when we were right here. And then when we broke out, it jumped back up to 9 and stayed above 9 pretty much the entire day. Even on these pullbacks, breadth was staying above 9. Everything was green, right? The tick looked kind of weird. It was making lower lows, but it wasn't staying below 0. They were all pinned up above, but they were positive ticks. They were just lower ticks. Shorter time frame traders just buying in. Got down into some of these single prints. Shorts started to cover, and then the market continued to rally on. And so, you know, a lot of times that's kind of what gets people into trouble, is that they're looking to sell the top because they're waiting for this, you know, gigantic pullback or some, you know, extravagant move. You know, but I mean, really, and this is more, you know, kind of like we talked about on these single boxes. I mean, here's a distribution, moves up, or I mean, you could even call this accumulation, right? And then distribution. And this is something I posted in the Discord yesterday. I said, did I say something? I basically was just saying, like, after we broke out, that it's going to be important to monitor to see, as I look to see if the market will continue to develop into a double distribution or give back the singles and into balance. And so this is kind of what we were looking for. And this is, I posted this at 2:37. So we got 9:30, oh, it's 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:31, 1:30, 2, 2:30. So there we go. So So I posted it like during J period on this pretty much breakout, and that was kind of like our sign, like to see, are we gonna get an actual seller, or are we just gonna distribute inventory higher? And pretty much that's what we did. Even on the end of the session, as the market did try to trade a little bit lower right at the end of the session, really was unsustained, and we saw that from Globex last night, right? Just traded straight up for the most part. Didn't, you can see here, I mean, there was a little bit of rotation early on, but for the most part, just started trading straight higher. So, and I think that's what larger money understands that they can take advantage of. And they they kind of have been. Exactly. And YouTube creates content from watching who? CNBC, Kramer, not Bloomberg, Reuters, or data like that. CMA. But yeah, I mean, they create the stuff that's going to get views, right? That's kind of the key of all of these things, is something that people are going to watch, because then they get the I gotta eyelash my, I'm dying. They create the ad revenue, and that's how they make money, is off ad revenue. So it looks like we are having some profit taking here. Not that I'm gonna try to get short or anything, but we have kind of had that we've completed that balance, and the next target really is going to be 3804, 3807 here. I'll go ahead and start marking some of these days probably. A lot of volume coming in up here. A lot of rotations here as well. And so if you're trading a shorter time frame like this, right? So let's say you decided that you were going to get short, and you're fading the market, right? You saw the breath cooling off a little bit, I guess. The tick did peak below zero, so there was probably a seller somewhere up here lurking. Maybe you got short inside this box. When it came down and came back in, that was your sign to get out, right? And now we're back kind of in this distribution box. So all the inventory that's been collected so far, right, is getting distributed here. And until this breaks down and comes back down to this 3780 level, you really don't want to be fighting this, right? There's opportunity, right? Let's say you take a short here, but you just gotta, and this is what gets most traders, is cutting the loss, right? They over leverage, or they just are like, nah, it's gonna come back. So it comes up here and then starts to distribute higher and starts to look like it's gonna come down. And so they add to their short here, and then it comes up again and does the same thing, and then they add to their short here, and then the whole day you look back at it and you're like, oh shit, I fought a fucking uptrend all goddamn day. It's like, you know, whoops. And I mean, it's so common, and I see a lot of people's trade reports, and that's kind of immediately what I think, and that's what immediately I go to. This is an interesting level here. This 95 is getting a lot of contracts traded on it here. A lot, especially in like past 15 minutes. There's got to be a seller here trying to absorb, I think. Sorry. But you know, that's a lot of times what I immediately think is like, is this report a trend fighting report? Netflix is starting to roll over. Netflix actually red after opening up pretty high. They were only up like 1% actually. This looks still pretty decent. You know, so that's kind of there's this thin spot in the volume profile for BTC for the upside. And so if that's a feeling that you get, you know, kind of think about that. Like, you know, something I do when I get done with every day is like, I look at the profile and you kind of try to decide, okay, what was the market trying to do today, right? And if the market opened lower and stayed above its open for the most part of the day, well, obviously the market was trying to go up. You know, were you getting short off of that, right? Were you, and then look at those individual shorts, right? If you're shorting a market that's moving up, not necessarily trending. Yesterday I wouldn't really classify as a trend day, really a double distribution that got kind of filled in later in the day for more or less a little bit of balance. But were you how were those fades, right? Because a fade trade we know is supposed to be a short trade. So if you're looking for a small gain on a fade trade, then you should be also pricing in a small loss, not looking for this, okay, well, this is the top, right? That's so many times people are trying to, you know, be like, this is it, this is it, this is it. And yesterday was, you know, what looked like one of those days. Everyone wanted to get short and just kept kind of getting squeezed up. Use the range from mid-June. Let me see. I'll pull up Trading View for that. Mid-June. Yeah, contrarianism. That's a word of the day right there. But it looks like there is a seller at that 95. To be honest with you guys, like that was a weird. I mean, it was just pounding here. A lot of volume came in. Like, I mean, look at that volume that came in right there. just on one level and look at the very next level. You know what I mean? Like 3,000. A lot of volume to come in and just not go anywhere. I mean, it's going down now, but interesting. So here's like the mid-June. Pull it from this low, actually. So right here is what you're talking about. It was a wall of 1 minute candles. I don't differentiate between buys and sells. That doesn't really matter to me at all, Jake. I just look at total volume. I mean, it's not always as obvious as this, but this is pretty obvious, right? You go from 20,000 on one tick to the next tick being, 4,000. Not even a, it's like a quarter. Embarrassing. Yeah, so you're talking about right here, this thin spot. Yeah, and this is that longer term resistance that we've kind of been looking at on Bitcoin, for a while here. This 2,500 to 2,300 level. Then above we have that 2,830 level. What do I think? I mean, really just look for a response. It's such a Bitcoin's such a tough trade right now just because of all the risk off stuff. I'm actually surprised that it's doing as well as it is today. Meta's starting to roll over here too. But so what I'm kind of thinking here is if we get up into this zone, this 2,500 level, and it starts to rotate a little bit, that really just puts that 2,800 level on the table. So that might be kind of an easy trade, but the market really has kind of weak structure in this area, and that's kind of why there's no volume. So on these rotations, because it probably get some rotations in here. If this volume doesn't fill in, and you maybe stay up here for like a day or two with no filling in the volume, then it's probably coming back below 20, or at least back to the 20. I think. I mean, it's got some work to do for sure. It is putting in a little trend here off the lows. This is just the daily chart here, but, putting in a little uptrend here off the lows. So and that kind of leads like downtrend there. This downtrend's from yeah.
It is once more very close to that standard.
Does the cash S&P gap need to be filled? Typically, all gaps will fill. I don't know if need is the word, but BTC to 1 million is what you're saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like we're seeing some trap shorts here on this 86.5.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can see we spiked down previously to that same spot, got bought up, then we went back up and met that wall. And given all these people that trapped shorting the A high are getting the chance to cover right here. So it's propping the price up at that 86.75. So if that seller moves down, we'll break through because we'll have enough supply to meet the shorts that are trapped. But if not, we rotate back up. Try the seller again.
Yeah, and if that seller moves down, they'll probably look to trade back down to that excuse me, the 80, the VWAP, the cash VWAP. And I mean, you can just see the emotion in the profile today big time, especially because the volume, I mean, I haven't looked at the volume, but I'm sure it's probably elevated here. Let me look real quick. Yeah, it's about 10% higher than yesterday. So, you know, you could see the emotion in the profile here. I mean, we've got, you know, less than 1,000 contracts on, you know, multiple levels. That's a weak profile here. You know, that's a lot of emotion coming into the market, right? And it makes the structure very weak. So it makes it, makes the odds better that it eventually will get fixed, right? Not necessarily today. And it may get fixed today. You know, we have no way of knowing. We have to just trade what happens. But the odds of it getting fixed are greater. You think trap shorts are vital for busting through resistance like this? Well, yeah, I mean, like, so you think about it, and most of the time, the other time frame traders or the larger money is interacting with shorter money. A lot of time, larger traders don't interact with each other. And so when you're at those lows of Bitcoin, like those previous lows, you're getting retail in there just shorting, and big money is just kind of soaking it up. So basically what happens is as a breakout occurs, and you kind of see how we're breaking out of this box. So that seller that was trapped on the 86, momentum sellers got trapped short here, and then boom, pops up. A little bit of selling here on this 92 as we get back in the volume. And so as it breaks up, and I'll kind of draw this out. So you kind of have these lows here, right? And this will just, you have these lows here, and you have the other time frame trader, a larger buyer, right, interacting with a retail short, right? Retail shorts get trapped, and maybe hedge funds, right, that are able to hold, you know, they start to cover, and then nobody buys at the high, right? So it comes back down. Or maybe the other time frame seller is up here selling to the retail buyers, right? Well, eventually one of them decides, you know what, I don't really like this level. And so when it pops up to here and the breakout and all these retail traders pile in, well, there's no other time frame trader here anymore. This retail or this other time frame seller has decided, you know what, I'm done accumulating at this level, and I'm going to go ahead and just wait, right? And that's what happens is on a balanced breakout or range extension, sometimes it's met by buying. Sometimes higher prices actually bring in more buying. And so then the breakout occurs, you got retail piling in, you got hedges piling in, and then the market continues up. Well, then this larger time frame trader that's been accumulating this whole time just kind of starts to sell in their tranches, right? Like when they kind of decide, fucking eyelash in my eye, I'm dying. You know, and so it really just depends if this retail money keeps buying. And that's why sometimes it looks so thin, is because you've got, you know, shorts getting squeezed for sure. All of these retail shorts that shorted the high and shorted here, right? So imagine the market's coming up to a level and you've got retail shorts selling, right? There's no other time frame trader in the market. You've got retail shorts buying here, so they're just competing against each other. And then, you know, the hedge fund or the leveraged money comes in and kind of really just decides which way it wants to go, right? Big money is already in their position. And so it, let's say big money comes in on this time, they keep coming up, and these shorts here are just getting kind of squeezed out. Retail shorts getting kind of squeezed out, right? So they start covering, and big money starts to, sell their position. And it's not until a larger trader, which is, maybe what we're seeing here right above this 3,800, or maybe just some profit taking. We do have excess here. It's not until we meet that opposite response that the auction can change, right? And so a lot of times we talk about, right, the market moves up to shut off buying, but sometimes when the market moves up, it brings in more buying. And that's kind of what we're kind of seeing, I think, today is we've moved up, we squeezed out a bunch of shorts yesterday, we are squeezing out some more shorts today, but not as many people or shorts are kind of left in the market. We're close that gap above, so we know those shorts are gone. And we started to see people trying to pile into the buying side, and then all of a sudden we're starting to see pretty big distribution here up at the high. So larger money probably is covering, or there's another time frame trader trying to come into the market to the downside here. And that's the thing, is like there's really no exactness. There's no way to kind of know this for sure. Morning, Dan. And that's why the profile is, even the market itself is an art, like Jim Dalton says. There's no scientific exactness. And if there was, like, someone would figure it out and they just would never share it, right? And you think about all the things that work, and this is why I always preach that psychology is the most important part in the market. Think about all those things that people rely on, right? Indicators like RSI, 200 moving average, fucking it's another one. Sorry guys, I'm having issues, I can't see. Just think about all those things that are Fibonacci's, right? The reason they work is not because of there's some fucking magic. The reason they work is because people use them. And that's like we were talking about yesterday, and TJ was saying, like, if they figure out something that's working all the time, then eventually people bigger money will figure out that it's working and trade against it. A bunch of sellers try to get it going again, and they just unsuccessful and popped right back up to that 95 level, and then traded another 1,600 contracts. I mean, look how much volume's coming in right there. it's like, okay, so the other time frame buyers or retail short sellers in mass could break heavy resistance, but a good combination of both is optimum. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the market can go, you know, directionally short term without larger money playing. You'll get those profiles that just look, you know, they look kind of crappy, not filled in. That was a, you know, like a solid structure will get filled in because they'll let the market come back down and they'll just fill it in, right? Big money's a little bit more patient, less emotional. Yeah, for sure, Double R. I'm glad that helped. Only have one eye, so fucking can't see anything. Oh, you guys want to see something pretty cool while the market's, well, the market might like it wants to go. Look at the breath is kind of chilling here. It's a lot of profit taking is what it seems like. Take a peek at Apple. See what Apple finally broke that overnight high and really just kind of popped, which is awesome. Side by side. So really just watching this 95 level. If this 95 level gives way, you know, there's probably a decent amount of stops that are going to be coming out here, and 3,800, very psychological number. Like I said, it's just kind of crazy that we were talking about 3,500 last week, and then all of a sudden here we go 300 points higher. That just shows you the volatility that's in the market here. What makes you so different is that unlike other who market aggressively on YouTube, you keep it low key and you're a great mentor. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I have no you know, I'm not interested in doing like advertisements. I did want to make a commercial on YouTube because I see all these other ones and I wanted to make like kind of a funny one. But also it's like fucking waste of time, so one thing I really don't like having wasted is my time. I'd say not dislike is pretty putting it pretty lightly. I fucking hate having my time wasted.
It would be funny to make a funny commercial.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to make. Like a video that's like, are you searching for the truth? Are you searching for the red pill that's going to make you an amazing trader? Well, look no further, because there fucking isn't one, you dumbass. Do some hard work and study and improve yourself, and then you'll be good. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, some of them on YouTube are just like, I mean, they're just fucking, they're like, you want to make $7 grand every morning, fucking 5 minutes, no fucking work, sign up, and you can just copy my trades. Like, the fuck out of here. Smashing that level again. That 95 is just, look at that, 18,000 volume just in the last 30 minutes. They're just knocking on the door. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, Pop, that's I mean, that's the thing is like, and that's the one thing that you don't, that a lot of people don't understand is that like you can't teach, you know, you can't teach screen time, you can't teach experience. And I wouldn't, I mean, even then, like, you know, let's say trading doesn't work out for you. If you, I mean, if you did it the right way, you're still gonna learn so much about yourself. You know, like for me, like even if I decided one day to stop trading, I would never be like, oh, I'm a failure. I would just, you know, take the lessons that I've learned from trading, and they're fucking knocking on this door hard right now. Jesus. You know, I would take the lessons that I've learned from trading as really invaluable. Like honestly, I never would have started reading books if it wasn't for trading. And I would have such a less understanding than I do about myself and about, you know, human nature than everything. And even looking back, right? Like, you know, and I kind of felt this way about the army. I spent 12 years in the army and I was a top-notch soldier, and you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people bitch about it. You know, they're just fucking, it's a it's just it's an easy hard job. It's like one of those jobs, it's like it's easy but it's also hard at the same time. But I, you know, I loved it because I got to mentor people, right? And you know, they kind of got forced because I was in charge, so they had no choice. But oh, hang on, the school's calling me. Hello. Hey, what's your blood sugar? Oh, that's good. Oh, okay. Did you cover for it? Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. Bye. But yeah, so like, I mean, when I found out that I was going to be getting medically discharged from the army, you know, I kind of thought like, well, fuck, I just wasted 12 years of my life. Like, what the fuck am I doing? And it really took some self-reflecting to like, you know, to realize that I didn't waste that time, and some of the skills that I developed are, you know, still utilized in my life today. You know what I mean? Like I became a great teacher, at least in my opinion, a great teacher because of the army, because I, you know, taught hand-to-hand combat so much and in front of, you know, sometimes, you know, some straight fucking killers that um you know, it made me have to be confident in my craft, and so it translates into pretty much every aspect of my life, and I hear it, you know, all the time from people that I'm around with in like my daily interactions, is that like I just, you know, have a very confident way about me is how they explain.
But half of what you did for the army was human nature when you were doing recruiting.
Oh yeah.
So human nature is kind of innate. I mean, everybody has a certain level of things that they are fascinated about at human nature, but in trading, there's so much human nature in it. Like how you say, oh, now these guys are doing this or these guys are doing that. That's you interpreting the data, which has not, I mean, you're not, it's not like you seeing people doing whatever it is you say they're doing, but the reality is that that is what is making it do what it's doing.
Right. The way that I'm reading it.
Because you see human nature in the data. You
Yeah.
understand the emotion just from looking at the data.
I'm like Neo, see the code.
Exactly.
See the world in the
It's
code. Sebastian, any good books for your fiance? She's a psychology major, and I want to show her the market psychology once she's out of school. What kind of psychology books are you looking for? Like psychology books that are based off of the market, or just psychology books in general? Because if you're looking for good books about psychology, I would recommend Jordan Peterson. I mean, he has some of his books, like he has that 10 Rules for Life or something like that. It's a really good book. Another one that I have is also really good. I can't remember the title of it though. But another good psychology book about trading is called The Black Swan by Nasib Taleb. I really like that book. Atomic Habits is also a great book, yeah, and it's a short book too. You could power through it in like a week easy. So that's another good one. Atomic Habits by, who writes this book? Seems Clear. Beyond Order by Jordan Peterson is really good. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah. And Jordan Peterson has a really unique perspective. Well, not even unique. He just is like so real about everything. And he just like, and he doesn't take any BS off anyone, which I like. The Matrix of Trading. Great name for a book. A black and white thought process seemed to dominate when I was in. Do you see that as a barrier? Yeah, I do. And really, there is no, that's the thing about the market, is that there is no black or white, right? It's all gray. The whole thing is gray. And you're basing everything off odds and probabilities. And a good way to kind of get an understanding of that is there's a book by Annie Duke called Thinking in Bets. Great book. It's based around poker. She's a professional poker player, but the translation is still there. And you really kind of have to get in that concept of, it's not A equals B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, the fucking Pythagorean theorem or whatever that's called. Or E equals MC squared, right? There's just no exact math problem. It's like A equals B, but sometimes A equals C, and sometimes A equals B plus C minus D, right? There's no unique definition. You just have to prepare yourself for that. That's why I always say, first and foremost, you should be thinking about your risk management before the trade, right? Like, it's great if the market goes up to let's say the market goes up to 4,000, right? That's awesome. But if you get long here and the market pulls down to 3,600 before it goes up to 4,000, are you still going to be in that trade, right? And so you've always got to think about those kind of things. And if you're stuck on, well, this is what's supposed to happen, so it should happen, and sometimes it does, right? Sometimes A does equal B, right? And we've seen that sometimes in the profile. Sometimes the market does exactly what it should do. But sometimes it doesn't, and you've got to be prepared for stuff like that. Put call puts are at 39.0. Yeah, the market's gray and it will turn your hair. Yeah, the Daily Trading Coach by Brett Steenbarger is really good. Yeah. Brett Steenbarger has a lot of good books. Some of those books though, like the Daily Trading Coach by Brett Steenbarger, like, you need to buy that book, right? A lot of these books are on Audible, and some of them are good to listen on Audible. Like Atomic Habits, I think, is a good book to have on Audible. But some of these books, and a lot of times what I do is I listen to them on Audible, and then I buy them, and then read them, because there's things in there that are going to speak to you individually that you're going to want to keep note of and tab. And on an Audible, it's just less likely that you'll actually do it. Not that it's impossible, because you can, even with the Audible app, you can take notes and put tabs and stuff like that. But the actual probabilities of you actually doing that are less likely when you don't have the physical book. Now, if you have the physical book, it might be less likely that you actually read it. So, do both. Right? Get the book on Audible, get the hard copy of the book, and follow along with the book. Little peak below B there, and then a pop right back up here. So watch to see if these sellers move down and start to fill this in. Really no volume above that 95, and we need to see volume above that 95 if we're going to get any kind of continuation. They finally gave way to it, but not many contracts traded above it. You got 36,000 there and only 4,000 above it. What's that? 4 times 9? That's a ninth of the volume there. Dude, does anyone ever get eyelash in their eye and they're just like, fuck, cut it out? Like, I swear to God. Yeah, 63-hour long book, yeah. A really good book that I read not too long ago was by Matthew McConaughey called Green Lights. And it's kind of a psychology book. Not specifically a psychology book, but it had like to do with his, personal psychology. And I really enjoyed that book. Green Light. And he reads it too. And he has a, he has a unique voice. You got that book? Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I really liked it. One second, guys. I think my boots are here. Hang on. All right. You kind of see, I mean, this area here, I mean, you could probably expand, honestly, to like this, right? You're getting this kind of back and forth here in the market for the past, it's 10:21 to 11 o'clock, about to be in the next 5 minutes. So watch this 95 level again here. Bought it for your wife with all the intentions of reading it yourself. There you go. The gift that keeps on giving. Well, good stuff, Martin. We're glad to have you, man. Yeah, if you find it, Jake, let us know. breadth is picking back up here. We were down 25. It was about 30 when we pierced that low. About 40 now. Goes. Next target up, besides that 3,800, is going to be that 3,804 and 3,807. Still just seeing, like, I mean, what looks like buy stops up there. Now we got a poor high developing. Factory orders came out flat. Fed Governor Jefferson speaks in 47 minutes. Then we have daily at 1 o'clock. Wants to go. The mental edge. There we go. We're getting good volume here. We want to hold above the 97. AMD was on the highs. Flat. I just took the 95 breakout. It might keep going. I just being tight at the up at the top. Let me look up this book. The mental edge. Okay. See D period. Fuck, I didn't even realize it was 11. That was my bad. Still an increase in that last period. C period had 10% more volume. D period coming back down into value here. So here's the key kind of from yesterday, right? That we talked about. So we have 3 TPOs here. If D period comes all the way down, and we get 4 TPOs here, the odds of a trend day starting to form are going to be less likely. Even though we have really strong breadth, and you know, all the sectors are kind of in agreement with a trend day happening, it lessens the odds of a trend day when typically you get 4 or more TPOs wide. Back down to test that 95 here. I'll be right back, guys. Fucking eyelash of mine stuck in it forever. So after C period here, did a look below, look above. We're really trying or starting to see a little bit of balance, right? And this is kind of indicative of the market being kind of unsure if it wants to continue moving up. We did hit that 3,800 level, so there is a lot of a lot of people probably pricing in as far as, okay, 3,800. If I'm a long-term seller, 3,800 might be on my ticket, and we do have a lot of single prints here below. Yeah, the VIX is making a new low, or a new high a day. The VIX is. Oh yeah, the VIX is starting to pop up here a little bit. Yeah, as the market's slowing down. And if you figure, I mean, we priced in about 2% here as far as price goes, right? And so you figure the open, what, 37.94, 2% would be 75 points. And we are 37.49. I do. That'd be 74 points, 74. Be like 38.20. So little bit, and it was below. It was about 28, so it's not actually 30. So you're pricing a little bit less than 2%. So we're pretty much at about that mark, and so when when people math it up, that's kind of what they're looking at. Is they're looking at that percentage of the market, and so that could be a spot where you could see shorts start to try to build their position. The Apple breaking a little bit of trend here as well, and this trend on Apple's been holding. Well, I guess it broke it this morning, but was holding since that low off Apple. So yeah, you can see it a little bit clearer here. 15 minutes. Apple's starting to come back down close to its open here. Yeah, Jake, it really is. The daily trading coach, like, yeah, I mean, there's, I mean, it really just puts it in perspective as far as like, you know, how long it takes to become proficient is how much work you're willing to put in. You know what I mean? And it's like when you've got some extra time on your hands, do do you get on the market and look at some charts? Do you read a book, or do you game, or do you scroll on Instagram? It's like a lot of these people are like, oh, I just can't lose weight. And it's like, well, do you ever try eating less? Do you ever try exercising more? You know? Big bid stepping up on the 98.50 here. See if we can take this high. Oof, traded right through it there. A lot of selling coming in right here, 96. 96 half. Bonds catching a little bit of an uptick. What's up, Dan? Grab some puts for tomorrow. Yeah, there's some big players. It looks like, yeah, it's a lot of big volume coming in. 250 lots on the 93 half. 250 lots on the 93. Make it happen. All right, Zoe. Yeah, sorry to hear that. If you need any assistance, let me know. I know our hours are different, but if you just send me a message and stuff, I'll definitely get back to you. Your data feed seems to be slower than mine. I don't know. 2% dump overnight. 2% from where we're at now would be like back into this gap. figure at 37.94. We'd be looking at like 37.20 actually. What puts did you get? $368 puts. You should just short the micros instead, Dan. If that's what you're looking for. Oh, you're not trading top step? Oh, you're just waiting like the time. Minimum days traded. It's supposed to be there for your help, so you don't gamble. You're degening on Robinhood. Classic. The minis, 100-point trade. Yeah, 100. I mean, 100 points is definitely a good week. Yeah, I mean, this week there was opportunity. Really, I mean, it doesn't happen often like that, but if you got long yesterday around the open and just held it, especially till now, I mean, you're up, pretty significant amount. Oh yeah, the NQ, yeah. Yeah, as long as you can just stay with the trend in the Nasdaq, you're good to go. Yeah, I didn't hold through Globex last night because I didn't I don't know, I didn't really trust the a continuation today, especially being at the top of balance. I feel like it could have gone either way. I mean, then obviously Globex confirmed the up move, but I didn't really look at the market after the close yesterday. Every time you want to hold, can you hold overnight on that FTMO?
Did the bot end up getting in a call earlier? I forget.
Yeah, it did.
Still holding?
Yeah, it hasn't gotten out, and it hasn't done anything else. It hasn't actually gone far enough in either direction for it to do a 3 candle buy or to do a double down. But it's above even. Not a huge amount, but it's above even. It's like at it's bouncing between 3 and 5% for the most part. I think it got up as high as almost 12 to 15%, but it didn't.
So it's not
go
even
completely
far enough
south.
up to like do the whole like reversal signal thing
No,
because it's not in profit enough to get out.
no. Yeah, it will be in for a while. I mean, I'll just say this based on what I remember of what I wrote for the bot, and based on the data that I'm seeing, the bot is not likely to get out for a while. It's got to climb a bit more, a fair amount more before the bot will consider getting out.
Cool. Just curious. Thanks.
No worries.
You've never experienced a move up this big. Yeah, I mean, volatility is high. A lot of people aren't prepared for it.
Hey, Brad, are the big even numbers a lot of times like put walls or something? I feel like I've heard that term. I know we're like hitting our head against this 3,800 basically, like right
Yeah,
before.
a lot of times they are.
Didn't know if that info was like anywhere where you could actually see it.
Yeah, so if we look on let's see. So if we look here, kind of see like this 3,800. This is the SPY. Let's look at the ES. Yeah, so we can see like, I mean, right here, pretty oh, look at the December series. So we've got like a ton of open interest here all the way back down at 25, a bunch of open interest here at is it showing us all these strikes? Yeah, so 3,800, bigger level. Really, it looks pretty light. I think 3,800 is probably where everyone rolled from last month. 3750 here on the puts. Look at the volume. Yeah, and volume's kind of the same, 3,800. 3770 here on the puts, and then 3850 on the calls. So that's kind of where it's at. So 3850 is the call, or most of the call volume's at. 3780. I mean, really, yeah, just all around this 3,800 level. If we look at all the series, I mean, that's 3,800 is the highest one, and then 3790 is the highest one on the put volume.
Cool. Thanks for looking.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a graph somewhere. I forget where, but it was a couple weeks ago or something when we were coming down to like a big area. I just remember something about. I just remember it seemed like it was support until it finally broke for a while. But I was curious if we could be coming up to something somewhere. Didn't really know where to look.
Yeah, so all this gamma at least is at 4,000. So 4,000 there, and then the put gamma 4,000. And this is December. There's a big options expiry in December, and so that really seems like the resistance, at least looking at this, is that 4,000 level. There's not really a lot of options expirations in November. Not a lot of volume, I don't think. Nasdaq's getting pretty tight here as well, same as the ES here, just kind of, I mean, trading in such a tight range up here as we can see.
I feel like if this thing breaks, it's gonna freaking go fast, whichever direction it goes, whichever direction it goes.
Yeah, I agree. But there's a lot of two-way trading happening here. It seems like a lot of people trying to position short, and it looks like initiated buying as well. Looking at flow, I think what this is institutional buying October, November calls and retail juicing the rest. Yeah, I mean, they're probably buying like 3,800 calls and selling 4,000 calls. Typically, institutional money's long calls and short puts. But, I think with the risk environment that we're seeing, a bit of a spread here for the most part. Or we're seeing more spreading than usual.
Gosh, 3,800 just had crazy volume stacking on it.
Yeah.
I have not seen a put count in anything since 10:50 Eastern. So in almost, well, 45 minutes.
Honestly, I think big players like size needs size to transact. So I think these two people have realized that like someone that was trapped short on size needs to get out. They can't just market order, thousands of contracts. So they have to wait until they meet supply. So I think there's someone that's long from further down below that sees this big player that needs to cover, and they're just selling. I mean, they're selling thousands of lots right here, just like they were earlier. Maybe not like right here, but in this area, because that 95 was like, I mean, there were so many lots traded on that, and that just has to be two big players. Like somebody's taking profit and somebody's needing to cover a short. That's how I'm thinking of it. It's just for that much volume to be traded, the price don't even move. You got two big players doing business.
Yeah. Changing hands.
I mean, we're up what 200 points from like 2 days. I mean, that kind of buy-in. And the weak references that we're putting in, the singles, the gap up, that just all tells you shorts were trapped down there.
Yep.
So a lot of this forced spot, this move up is people being forced to buy. And then I think now we're finally coming to a spot where a big player is willing to take some profit. And you just see the price stand still on a number, and you just see hundreds and hundreds of contracts ticking through. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen this in a while either. A lot of times, like, it's just been, for the most part, pretty light. Or like dramatic moves when we have big volume. It's just been kind of directional, but today kind of moved up, and like TJ's saying, it's just standstill.
Sideways trading at its best, right?
I mean, E just opened and there's already like over 5,000 contracts just in these like top 3 letters. I mean, almost 7,000 contracts in 2.5 minutes.
There it goes.
Insane.
I was gonna say AMD looked like it was trying to make a bid.
Met with some resistance right there. Met with a seller
Oh.
up above again.
That's the 3,800. Oh, sure enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's done this pretty much in every period. Like C period popped the B period and then came back all the way
Yep.
down and then came back up. And then D period kind of did the same thing. It popped that C and then came back down. And E period just did the same thing.
So
Yeah,
not
it's like as
quite
soon
a
as it
floor
looks
high.
like a breakout to retail and retail starts FOMOing in, just gives them more liquidity to be able to smack the offer and get better fills, you know.
Yeah, close at higher prices.
And they don't
Not
have
quite-
the huge swing of a market order because there was all those people running in at that spot.
So not quite a weak high, but it seems like it didn't quite do what it wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no volume up there. There wasn't. They've got to come back down to the mean to start transacting again. Because also, like, the seller understands that if they just start to just bleed the offer, you know, this thing could really just tank and they could lose a lot of their gains. So they're trying not to sell as you know, aggressively or impatiently because they don't want to drop the price because they want to get filled for the best opportunity for the best price, basically. And if they start to just flush the market, they'll spook the market. Best case scenario is if for them, you know, that other time frame trader that's taking the other side of their trade gets out of the way, you know, and then they get continuation to the upside and then they can even sell at higher prices, but they need the liquidity to do it. Like TJ was saying. It's killing me. Jesus Christ.
You hadn't been able to get it out?
No, dude, it's like stuck in there forever. I'm trying everything.
Oh god. Stuck in there forever.
That's why I went in the bathroom, tried to like see if I could find it. I couldn't see it.
Can't see it. Oh geez. I know I
Yeah.
hate when like stuff gets up under your eyelid, you know, and you can't really like get it out.
Yeah.
You like pull your eyelid out and you like look down as far as you can, like let go of your eyelid.
Blink 1,000 times. Yeah. I'll have to wake my
Gosh,
wife
man.
up. Be like, all right, nurse, do your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, D period 11% more volume than the previous day. Volume's just crazy high today.
Wasn't yesterday 10% over Friday?
Yeah.
So we're up 20% over Friday.
Well, that's a key indication of continuation too, is like increasing in volume, making a directional move too.
AMD is trying to range toward high.
Breath is still 30 here. I mean, there's just nothing really saying to us to get short. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing really convincing. You have a little bit of volatility here. But I mean, that's pretty much what we've seen. You know, if we make this bigger here, and this is the 1 minute, we kind of see this. We've seen it a couple of times now. You know, put in a little box here. Volatility drops, little box, pop up, pop down, pop up into a little box, pop down, little box, look above, look below, and then back in. I mean, really, you could, you know, put a range on this thing from the high here, 3,800, this low here at like 37.87. It can be kind of like your trading range for right now until you get continuation
Yep.
below it or above it. You know, you really just kind of want to be careful inside of it.
Yeah, you can kind of see it even on the TPO. Like you kind of have a channel going like a 45-degree angle going up off the high of the letters, and then off the low as well, like from
Yeah.
the E, the D down to the A. It's just like you said, ranging.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna try to wait for them to figure out their finish their business, and then see where we end up going, because I don't want to be in a position and then get caught off sides.
Right. And most likely the move from this balance up here is probably going to be swift and harsh. And what do we have? We have Fed coming on at 1 o'clock, I think. Jefferson speaks in 5 minutes.
What's he speaking about?
Who knows? Nothing is. They're just gonna keep, you know, it's like a South Park episode. Like, how many times do I have to teach, or SpongeBob? How many times do I have to teach this old man a lesson? Like, we keep telling you we're raising rates, and then you guys are surprised when we raise rates. Like, we have a lot of shorter time frame traders here, probably trying to take advantage of the volatility as well. Because it looks like you're seeing like some decent size orders scalping ticks up here towards this 3,800. It's just the size that gets traded and then it goes back the other side. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. I need to try to get this thing out of my eye, and then my kids get out of school early today. Well, my son gets out of school early today. Uh, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we talked about, what TJ was talking about. You know, really, that's what looks like it's going on here. We do have a lot of weak structure below that probably will be revisited at some point. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be today. These gaps below are, you know, pretty indicative of our in single prints down here, of these shorts being trapped and caught off sides, especially down in this balance zone, right? We had this balance for about 6 days and finally broke out of it, closed that gap above, which is where that short seller had been kind of sitting. And, you know, that's probably who covered as much as they could here and probably trying to take as much as they can now. So the keys here really is just to monitor and see if we get back above these levels. This is that previous day's low, so we'll look for acceptance up inside that previous day's range. There is a balance. I'll zoom this out because it makes it a little bit easier to a little bit more friendly here. yeah, there is a balance up here, this 4-day balance before that FOMC breakdown here, back from the 16th of September, and that low here is 38.42 ish. Yeah, 38.43 quarter. So that would be a level if they do get continuation to the upside that the market, we've seen acceptance up in this price up there. So it would make sense if it tries to, climb back up there. I am kind of still thinking that even if we do break out, that the market still needs to kind of refill this structure in, right? We've got weak structure on that breakdown. This is that spike low. So, below the spike acts as resistance. So break above this spike really, which we, did for a couple of seconds on the 22nd would be, a key that we might get some continuation to the upside. That's that 38.04. So that'd be a key level watching into today. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure that you are managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And I will catch you guys later.